So, today's video is very important. Today I will be doing a review on the M3 Gtr in Need for Speed Heat, and I will be telling you guys what the developers did right and what they could have done better. Let's start with the engine sound, and a lot of you are not going to like me saying this, but they didn't get the engine sound of the M3 Gtr quite right. The engine used for the M3 Gtr sounds more like a deep cross-plane crankshaft V8 to me. Kind of like the engine used in the E92 M3, which is a common swap for the E46 M3 chassis. Now let's have another listen to the Heat M3 Gtr. As far as I can tell, they use the sound of the E92 M3's engine, the S65 B40, not the M3 Gtr engine, the P60 B40, the flat plane crankshaft V8. But what about the straight cut gears? Everyone wanted the sound of loud straight cut gears. You can hear the straight cut gears at 5th or higher, but it's nowhere near as aggressive as the old M3 Gtr gearboxes. Sorry if that previous clip made your ears orgasm or bleed without warning, but you can see the difference, right? The straight cut gears in the original M3 Gtrs were much louder, which I'm sure you will all agree is much more like the sound of the Gtr in Most Wanted. So much like the engine sound and how they had the right idea, but didn't get it completely right, the straight cut gear sounds of the M3 Gtr aren't quite perfect either. But the straight cut gears in the Heat Gtr do sound a lot like some gearboxes you can get today.
So that's without the clutch.
You see what I mean? It's definitely based off of straight cut gearboxes from real life, but not the really loud kind you'd find in the old M3 Gtr race cars. But have no fear, this video isn't just about what they got wrong. They did a great job with the sound, and it is so much better than what they've done in the past. But what about its looks? Well, I'm gonna have to give the car a full 10 out of 10 because they got everything right. The body kit, the livery, the wheels, and oh my gosh, the interior as well. You can see the racing gauges, the roll cage, the tubing, and the seat, and the racing window slider on the driver's side. It even has tow hooks. In terms of looks, this car is perfect. So how does this car perform? Well, it starts out pretty pathetic, but once it has all the Ultimate and Ultimate Plus parts, it's very fast. I should say that the engine in this car is available as an engine swap that includes the straight cut gears for multiple other cars, which I think is strange. So you could get a normal E46 M3 and put this car's engine in it and get the straight cut gear sound. And while we're on the topic of the normal E46 M3, the GTR doesn't handle any differently or better as far as I can tell. I kinda expected the GTR to have better handling since it is supposed to be lighter and more rigid with the welded roll cage system and weight reduction, but it feels basically the same as the street car. But now let's talk about the car in terms of it finally being added back into the Need for Speed canon story. Warning, because I'm about to spoil the end of Need for Speed Heat. You get the car at the end of the game by taking it from Frank Mercer, who somehow had it in his possession, and as far as I can tell, was trying to sell it. I'm happy that it's finally back in the story, but I want to know more. We were left with quite a few questions when the short story campaign ended. Did Frank Mercer die? Probably. But how did he get the M3 GTR? The last time we saw it, it was supposedly totaled in Need for Speed Carbon in a canyon near Silverton. It's been 13 years since the M3 GTR was lost to us, so what happened during all those years? Did Frank confiscate it? Did he find the totaled chassis and buy it? And more importantly, where would the M3 GTR have gone if Frank hadn't been caught? Who is supposed to be the buyer of the M3 GTR and all of those cars? In the last cutscene, he talked about how if he got arrested, things would go really bad for him and Torres. So where were the cars going? Were they going to Marcus the Gambler from Payback? Maybe it was supposed to go to the Collector, though he was supposed to basically be finished at the end of that game. So what about the weird, shady organization that the Gambler joined in the last cutscene? What if these cars were going to Arkwright? And that was who was going to be mad if the vehicles weren't delivered? Or is it something simpler? Like perhaps the original owner of the M3 GTR wanted their car back, and they had commissioned Frank to get it for them. Who knows? Obviously I don't. I'm sure you've probably noticed by now that I'm doing a lot of races. This is because I'm trying to get a bunch of bank so that I have a decent budget when I start doing build videos. And I thought it would be fun to get a bunch of time with the NFS GTR since, in all honesty, while the NFS GTR has a special place in my heart, my personal purple car is more up my alley. It currently has the 600 LT flat plane cranked V8 in it, and it sounds much more like the M3 GTR in real life. It's a shame I can't put the straight cut gears on it with that engine, because then that would be perfect. Oops, I missed the checkpoint. Well, I'm so far ahead it doesn't really matter. But by the way, many of you pointed out that when I finished the story, they gave me a GTR for free, and you thought it was strange that I bought a second one. Well, in all honesty, I had no idea they gave me the M3 GTR for free, and I thought I had to buy it in order to get it. But that's fine, because now I have two, and I can do various testing with different gearboxes and engine swaps and all sorts of stuff. I'm at 3.2 million bank now, so while I add some of you guys to my crew, I want to ask you what you think of the M3 GTR in this game. Do you think they did a good job? I personally think it's a step in the right direction by having the straight cut gears and any V8 at all in the car. The exterior looks fantastic, and the performance is very similar to that of the GTR in Most Wanted. I've seen people get it all the way up to 240 miles an hour, which is awesome since the top speed of the GTR in Most Wanted was 242. So again, I ask you, the audience, my fellow players, what do you think of this car's looks, sounds, and performance? Did they nail it, or do they still have room for improvement? But that's it for my review of the BMW M3 GTR in Need for Speed Heat. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I look forward to having a discussion with you down in the comments below. I will start doing builds of various cars now that I have a decent budget to do it. Let me know what you think I should build. I want to start with some tuners and more common sports cars before I go straight into supercar territory. But I'll do whatever you guys request. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, then hit that like button and tell me what you liked about it down in the comments below, or tell me what you had for dinner these past few days. Have a peruse through my channel, and if you like what you see and are a cool person, then hit that subscribe button and join the TRJ crew, because I'm sure you'll like what I've got planned. If you're already a big fan and want to go the extra mile to support the content I do, you can go to my Patreon and help fund filming trips, better cameras and other equipment, real-life car projects such as the WRX and the M3 Gtr replica project, and much more. And I recently made a Discord just for patrons, so if you want to chat about videos and cars, pick any patron tier and you'll automatically get added to the chat room. But hey, even if you don't do any of those things, at the very least, have a good day, take it easy, and keep it crazy. I'm Tom, the Racing Joker. I'll see you all next time.